Westwood School Committee. I call the meeting to order. First order of business we're going to have today is the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. So if we could stand up and pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So I'd like to a recognition of the Westwood Media Center, which is live streaming the meeting tonight and recording it for later viewing by people, and also Connor Lynch and Melinda Garfield, who do an awful lot of this work, and we really appreciate your work. For the meeting, I'd just like to welcome a new member of the school committee. And Amy, do you have a few words to say?
Yes, I'd love to introduce you to Riley Harrington, who is a senior at Westwood High School. She is, in the past year and a half, she's won 3 state championships with the girls lacrosse and field hockey teams. She is the leader of the defense as the goalie of the girls lacrosse team. Last postseason, she and the defense held all 5 of their opponents to 15 goals total. And for some perspective, we scored 16 goals in the final 2 games. She committed to Quinnipiac last fall as a junior, and as a student, she's stellar. She speaks 2 languages, Spanish and Mandarin. She's got like a 4.2 GPA, 3 Ps this year. And she's really excited to be part of her group this year. Welcome, Riley.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, man, yo, how perm yo. I studied Mandarin once, but I switched to Hokkien because those are the people I had to talk to. We're going to change the agenda a little bit tonight because quite a few of the members of our girls lacrosse team are out on the field right now. So they're going to be coming over to join us for our ceremony. So we're going to delay it a little bit until they have a chance to get back over here. So we're going to change the agenda just slightly to honor them in a few minutes. First off, I'd like to start off with our superintendent's report. Emily?
Great, thank you, Charlie. Just get my slides here. So I do want to introduce you to one other person who's with us tonight, and that's Donna Olson. I don't think that the school committee has met Donna. If you could just wave, Donna, hello. And so Donna is the interim principal at Martha Jones this year, and she hit the ground running in July, and things seem to be off to a great start at MJ, so we're pleased to have her with us. In general, we are off to a good start of the school year. I will say that the fall of 2022 feels really good compared to the last couple of school years, and that feels to me like a universal sentiment as I'm out and about in the building. So that is great. We have 32 new teachers in the district. And about 40 to 45 new support staff. 32 new teachers is actually a little less in terms of turnover than we've seen in the last few years. We are seeing a similar trend in a lot of our support staff, seeing a lot of turnover. A new thing we're seeing this year, we actually still are in need of 9 instructional assistants in the district, so send anybody you know our way. And we're seeing sort of a new trend here where some of our special ed support staff, our paraprofessionals, are now that school has starting to get jobs teaching special ed under emergency licenses in area districts that weren't able to staff fully. So we're kind of contending with that trend as well. I wanted just to spend a few minutes talking about how the summer went. The Student Services Department completed another big extended school year program. We had 125 students participating across 20 programs. We located them at the high school, middle school program at the high school, and then the preschool and the preschool and Downey programs at Downey. We had 80 of our special ed staff work an extended school year, and I really want to thank all of them because those folks, they don't take the summer off. They keep working with our students throughout July and August. We're able to provide programming to meet different needs, 4-week programs, 6-week, 7-week, 8-week programs. And ESY, this ESY we think really has completed our COVID response or compensatory plan, and we believe that we'll be resuming more typical ESY structures next summer.
Can you just tell what ESY is?
Yeah, ESY is extended school year, and so that's That's for a certain number of students who, according to their special ed individual education plans, continue with their education throughout the summer. We also provided some general education summer programming. We ran summer academic support programming for general ed students who were identified as kids who could benefit from this through our assessment data. We had a K-5 reading and math program that we called Jumpstart, and it was combined. It wasn't just reading and math. We also combined it with some fun enrichment activities so that the kids weren't spending their whole day on academics. And I want to thank Chris McDonough, who was the lead teacher in that program, and several of our educators also taught in it. So Julie Galante, Jen Kozak, Judy Morgan, Danielle Tashara, Jenny Goosen, Pat Foley, Chrissy Needles-Gowski. And then we, this year, actually had 2 recent alums who served as interns. And this is something that we've been wanting to get off the ground for some time, so that was really great as well. Christina Almeida and Aries Latau de Graca. So thank you to all those folks. Did that. We also did gen ed programs at the middle school in reading and math. Thanks to Deb Peterson, Jen Tian, Beth Cormier, Tara Goodwin, and Annie Ianazzi. And we had a program that was a transition to high school program for some incoming 9th graders that we thought could use that additional support. We ran a high school credit recovery in ELA and math, and the senior independent project program, which you're going to hear all about, so I won't have much to say about that now. Some new initiatives. We ran a number of new student orientations, and the grade 5 big come visit the middle school orientation happens in the spring. But then just recently in August, we had a couple of open house opportunities for kids to come in. I don't know if you remember going to middle school, but you have to work a locker. And, you know, that can be anxiety producing to have to do the combination lock. So a lot of opportunities to practice that. You can see here, this is somebody's locker visit planner where they're thinking about like what times of day will they go to their locker and what materials will they need to get. So a lot of those things to help people get off to the right start. You know, this year, as I said, does feel different, and we're really taking this opportunity to reset some important norms with students and with adults. And so this is, you can see our new Dean of Students at the middle school, Mr. Walker, is here meeting with, I think this is 6th grade lunch, just to kind of talk about how we operate in the cafeteria. The high school had an exciting new program for incoming 9th graders and other students who were new to the school. And you know, what was particularly exciting about this is that it was student leaders who planned the entire orientation and ran the entire orientation. And you know, it was really exciting. We had 10 student leaders who planned it and then recruited 56 upperclassmen to serve as mentors and to do this 2-day orientation. We put the invitation out and got, I think, 178 students who volunteered to come in for 2 days to do the programming, and it was great. It was a really just great energy. The students here in the pink t-shirts are the 10 leaders, and I've listed their names there. They did a great job. Thank you to Mr. Millett, who is giving us the thumbs up in the golf cart there, and also Ember Parker, who's a guidance counselor at the high school, because they were the adults who were supporting the student leaders in getting this off the ground. During the orientation, I was over visiting the high school, and I spoke to one of the leaders and asked how it was going, and she said, "We wanted it to be perfect," and it wasn't perfect, but it was really pretty good. And you know, perfection is a very high standard the first time you do something of this magnitude. So I think it was a tremendous success. The orientations haven't just been for students. The high school actually did an orientation for new parents earlier this week on Tuesday night. That was Tom Millett and Ashleen Flanagan who did that, and it was here in the little theater, and it was packed. There were about 80 new parents to the high school who came just to get up to speed on how the high school operates. We have been working on our elementary METCO expansion, and that is off and running as well. This is actually from last spring when a bunch of folks from the district went to METCO headquarters in Boston, and we met with the families of incoming students to answer their questions and just start to build some good relationships. Last spring, of course, the Hanlon did a community night that I think was the PTO. I know Dory was very involved in that. PTO sponsored that. And then over the summer, we ran some programming for those incoming students as well. They had 2 weeks of academics for us to do some assessment and shore up some skills. And then they had 2 weeks just to get to know Westwood, the town. So this was an ice cream social we went to, now that I think about it, in Boston. But they visited the Westwood Public Library and got their Westwood Public Library cards, and you probably know where we took them here, right? So, of course, they had to go to Bubbling Brook and get some ice cream to really get to know Westwood. So that has been off to a wonderful start. We have an event coming up this Sunday that is sponsored by the Westwood Welcome Club. Everyone is welcome to attend, and it's on Sunday from 4 to 6 at Hale. We have implemented a number of safety and security protocol changes over the summer, and the school committee heard about that in some detail over the summer in executive session. But just for the public, we have a new director of safety and security, Steve Trask. He really spent a couple months in the spring kind of getting the lay of the land and assessing where we were. And so we've put a number of things in place in terms of IDs and visitor protocols. We've revised some emergency protocols, got some new training materials. We're doing some infrastructure changes, installing a blue light system at the middle school similar to the high school. Really I think, a much improved reunification plan. And we've done some targeted equipment and technology upgrades, such as cameras. And then finally, we've gotten a couple questions about COVID protocols for schools, and things are pretty different this year. So, as was the case in the spring, masks are not required except in health offices, though of course people are still welcome to mask, and we very much support that in the culture that people can make that choice. There's no longer a testing program in schools. As we communicated last spring, we no longer have a COVID monitoring and response team. So we've really tagged off to the local public health department at this point. DESE and the state DPH no longer requires any contact tracing or that schools be reporting case data. And so there's no longer a need for people to report cases to us. We're not collecting that data any longer. And as I said, families in need of COVID consultation should contact the Westwood Public Health Department. In terms of what to do if somebody tests positive for COVID, we are communicating that people should follow the current public health guidance. So certainly stay home if symptomatic, and if you test positive, you quarantine for 5 days, and then wear a mask for an additional 5 days upon return to school. That additional 5 days of masking is not required if you test negative on day 5 or later. So that is where we are.
And if people do want to wear masks, they're welcome to wear masks. Teachers are students. That's your right to do that.
Of course. And so that is that for me before I turn it over to
Any questions for Emily? Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. So give me 1 second to switch presentations here. And I would like to introduce you to Catherine Stewart, who actually was here last year with SIP students. As you may know, SIP has been moved to a summer program. Catherine is the teacher who leads it, and I think she's going to introduce the program to us, and then we'll turn it over to students.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to begin by extending my sincere gratitude to the school committee for hosting us this evening, to Superintendent Emily Parks, Assistant Superintendent Allison Porchers, and High School Principal Amy Davenport for their continued support of the SIP program. Soon you will hear from 14 students who thought it would be cool to spend their summer exploring their curiosities and passions. But before you do, I'd like to tell you a little bit about what has brought them here. In March, we ran a series of info sessions advertising SIP and explaining what a summer program would look like. In April, students submitted applications, sat for a series of interviews with high school faculty, and were notified of their acceptance into the program. Throughout May and June, students refined their ideas and took an active role in searching for a mentor, someone with knowledge in their field of interest who could guide their thinking and share their expertise. And in late June, stretching into July and early August, these 14 students embarked on self-directed projects. We met weekly via Zoom, developing criteria for success based on SIP's core values, learning about mission statements and then writing their own, and forming personalized action plans that helped students figure out what they needed to do in order to get where they wanted to go. It's with great pride and appreciation that I invite these students to share their projects with you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Emma Adamakis. My passion is to further my education outside of high school to become a vet tech. My mentors that helped me through this process are Lisa Whitney, who is a clinic manager, and Dr. Amy Rubin, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine. For my project, I was able to gain experience through shadowing at my local veterinarian clinic and attending a UMass Amherst Vet Tech program. At the clinic, I was able to study how vet techs operated and dealt with many different animals. At the UMass Amherst program, I was able to be more hands-on with the animals and learn in a classroom setting for 2 weeks. These two opportunities allowed me to decide my final topic for my project, heartworm disease in felines. I created a flyer that contains description and diagnosis and treatment of feline heartworm disease, which can be displayed in veterinarian clinics. From both the clinic and program, I learned a lot about different diseases, but this particular one stuck out to me because of the effects it has on felines. Overall, I'm really grateful for the experiences and opportunities SIP has given me and will be continuing to further my passion. Thank you.
I'd just like to point out this is something you developed
Yes.
for, if you distribute it to veterinary clinics or,
My local one I did.
yeah, this is
One I
a
worked
document you developed to explain to people the feline heartworm problem.
Great. Hi, Ella.
Hello, my name is Ella Allen, and this summer I spent focusing on my passion, which is music. I play double bass, so I've been involved in many of the different ensembles in Westwood. And one of the things I noticed most was the lack of female representation in jazz spaces. So I spent my summer working towards the goal of increasing female representation in our Westwood community. So my mentor was the amazing Dr. Cody, who is the, I'm sure as all of you know, the K-12 Director of Performing Arts. And I really started out by researching why we see this problem throughout our school systems and overall just in general. Through my research, I connected with a lot of amazing different scholars, educators, so many different people to learn kind of the root of the problem. And then the second part of my project was planning how I would change the way jazz is seen in our Westwood community. So, for example, I'm in the Westwood High School Jazz Band, and we see quite a stark difference between the amount of women and men in our group. So I wanted to see if we could kind of attack this problem kind of head on, starting with the elementary schools and middle schools. So although I wasn't able to do my presentations over the summer because everyone was out enjoying their summers, so hopefully starting in August, I will be going to all of the 5th grade jazz bands in all 5 elementary schools, as well as the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade bands in the middle school to talk about kind of jazz history, but also why they should consider continuing jazz for both men and women in the elementary and middle school, kind of encouraging everyone to join, and especially encouraging young girls to continue their musical education. And I'd like to thank everyone for supporting this process, and especially thank you to Dr. Cody. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Emma Cote and my passion is in investigating reporting. So this summer I had the privilege of working alongside renowned sports journalist Dan Shaughnessy at the Boston Globe, as well as criminal justice reporter LJ Dawson, who is freelancing in DC. And I knew I wanted to do something about writing, but I did not know I could begin freelancing in high school. So SIP really gave me the opportunity to do that, and through my project I was able to research and write an article based on discrepancies in school disciplinary data. And through my research, I found that whether higher or lower, oftentimes were on the basis of race, town demographics, and economic status. So through SIP, I was able to travel to DC and meet friends and work alongside accomplished journalists in the field, as well as write in a politically active climate. I was able to speak with varying members of the Massachusetts Department of Education, and I was able to begin writing my own pitches. With said pitches, I've been able to send them into various news outlets who have gotten back to me about fall publication, which is very exciting. So I would like to conclude by thanking school committee for allowing me to share my passions, as well as SIP for giving me the tools to pursue my ambitions much earlier than I thought I could. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Yvette Easton. My passion is embracing cultural identities and its ties to languages. Although I didn't have a specific mentor, I worked closely with the Center for Arabic Culture, which is located in Newton, Massachusetts, and where I also happened to graduate from 2 years ago. I also learned from Harvard professor Karen L. Mapp through the online edX course, which is a platform funded by Harvard University. So for my project, I wanted to understand how identity is impacted by language learning, specifically at a young age. And I learned a lot from the online course that I took. Additionally, I also worked with some teachers at the Center for Arabic Culture to kind of understand their perspective. And they told me a lot about how important it is to start young learning languages, because language is more than just language. It's about empowering one's cultural identity and learning more about who you are through language. So I also was able to pursue a lot of personal reflection because even from a young age, my parents really strengthened the idea of learning Arabic, and so that really helped me understand more about my identity. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Izzy, and my passion is history, especially local history. My mentors for my project were Laura Provo, the president of the Westwood Historical Society, Gail Coughlin of the Natick Historical Society, and J. Cedric Woods of UMass Boston. And for my project, I studied local Native American history and specifically Native sites in the land that we now call Westwood. And although this history is not always visible in the education system, I met many contacts at Hale Reservation and various historical societies who provided lots of information for me. And with that information, I created a website with 6 specific sites, one of which is Noanet Pond, which is pictured right up there in the background, where Native people from the Massachusetts tribe built canoes and created tools. And despite many attempts at erasure from the historical record, the Massachusetts tribe is still very active today, and a link to their website will be on my website once it is published. And my website will also be public so that any members of the Westwood community can feel free to look at it and learn from it if they'd like. And thank you all so much for your support of the SIP community.
Hi, my name is Lane, and my passions include journalism and environmental activism. This summer, I took an internship at WCAI, which is the Cape and Island station from NPR, and I worked closely with a reporter named Eve Zukoff, who's a female climate journalist who focused on local climate issues in the Cape and surrounding areas. I got to attend a shark event at the Chatham Shark Center, which was specifically for media, and not only did I learn a lot about sharks that maybe I did or didn't want to know, but I got to learn how media, including TV, print, radio, takes their information in, spreads them to the public, and that whole entire process. I got to follow Eve on a reporting day where she interviewed some old women who collects garbage in the Cape Cod ponds, and I got to help her write that story and work on the audio transcriptions, and everything that I didn't know went into publishing a radio story. It was eventually published on the WCAI website, on the radio station, and it was later picked up by WGBH and WBUR because they liked it so much. And I was so happy that she allowed me to share the byline with her and got the credit that I worked so hard for, and I would like to thank SIP for this process.
Hello, my name is Caroline Kelleher, and for my senior independent project, I really wanted to dive deep into the world of scientific and medical research. Prior to entering the SIP program, I was heavily considering a career in medicine, and now, after completing my project and this program, I know that becoming a medical professional is the right choice for me. My project consisted of reading and synthesizing medical research papers on mitral regurgitation, a condition during which the mitral valve in the left chamber of the heart doesn't function as it should. This allows the backflow of blood back into the chamber and can result in higher risk of stroke and heart attacks. This was not an easy task, especially without the help of a long-term mentor, but something that was so challenging in the beginning became so rewarding in the end. I learned how to read and write scientifically and medically, and importantly, I learned how impersonal death can be in medicine, especially when lives lost are written as just a number. Finally, I learned how to navigate the world of medicine, and I became more confident and comfortable reaching out to medical professionals. However, I could not have done this without the help of my two contributors, Dr. Miller from Westwood's own science department, and Asmani Adhab, a Westwood High School graduate and current medical school student. So to conclude, I want to thank the committee for supporting SIP, which allowed me to have such an enriching experience this summer. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tara Liu, and my passion is dance and choreography. My mentor this time was my Chinese dance teacher, Claire Lee, who is the teacher and choreographer for the Westwood Chinese School Dance Troupe and the emeritus member of the Boston-based Chinese dance company, Dance Revelation. Growing up, I noticed that there was a severe lack of choreographers who looked like me, who looked like anybody else that didn't necessarily seem to fit in. And this obviously led to a lack of cultural respect when seeing people like me represented on stage in classical works. So this summer I decided to create my own work in the style of Chinese classical dance. And I learned so much about working with less experienced dancers, trying to take my own choreography and work it into something that other people can pick up and express themselves. And overall, it was a very educational experience for me to be able to have that creative outlet. So I would like to thank SIP for giving me that opportunity.
Hello, Westwood School Committee. I'm Caleb Maloof, and I'm very excited to tell you about my experience with the Senior Independent Project. For my project, I went in with my passion of computer science and walked into some unknown territory for myself, which happened to be teaching. This experience involved working with my mentor, James Looney, a Westwood High School computer science teacher, to produce a website with the intention of teaching my peers coding and how it can be applied to engineering. Throughout my experience with SIP, I gained a lot of key takeaways, if you will, and I learned a lot about time management and working as an individual, but also the importance of receiving feedback and being able to revise and edit your work without a superiority complex. Really want to thank SIP, or not SIP, really want to thank the school committee and Catherine Stewart, or Miss Stewart, either or, for this amazing experience and the support provided, as I learned a lot about not only myself, but how I'm going to move forward in my adult life in the future. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Joe McGeckern. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. My passion is also computer science, and going into this project, I knew I wanted to learn more about the real-world applications of computer science by doing some type of programming project. So I contacted John Richards, who is a senior estimator at Northern Contracting Corporation, to do a budget estimation internship, while also creating a computer program to estimate the cost of new construction jobs. Sorry. So throughout the internship, my mentor provided me with the tools I needed to get my tasks done, and he offered me his assistance whenever I needed it, but it was mostly up to me to take initiative with my work, which ultimately gave me a very good understanding of what the field of estimating is all about and the amount of detail that goes into it. For my computer program, on the other hand, I used a data set of previously completed construction jobs with various features such as size, location, and cost, and it was used to kind of draw a line of best fit through those parameters so that the price of new construction jobs can be predicted. So during this process, I found myself filling more knowledge gaps about data science than computer science, which is very interesting to me because data science is an application of computer science, and it can help me get a better understanding of different fields in the future. Thank you.
I think we could have used Joe 6 months ago when we were going out to
More
bid
like
for
2
our
years ago.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Julia. For my SIP project, I wanted to explore journalism, interviewing, food, and how Westwood's local culture came to be. One of my big passions has always been storytelling. I got it from my father and my grandfather. So with my project, I wanted to tell the story of Westwood's restaurants. And that brings me to my mission statement, which is to shine a light on the importance of learning about local culture and to help the town gain a greater appreciation for how food has shaped their community. To help me explore this passion is my mentor, Alan Flaherty, who works with Long Island News and Cincinnati Cooks, and he helped me learn professional interviewing tactics to get the most out of my interviews with restaurateurs in Westwood. Alan also helped me craft my final project, which is an article about local restaurants, their origin, and how they impacted the community. And some of those restaurants include local favorites such as Bubbling Brook, BB, and Chiara. And honestly, my favorite part of SIP was getting to really see the inner workings of these restaurants and to report on them and to really get to know the owners. And without the support of the school committee, I wouldn't have been able to do that, so thank you.
Hello, I'm Sophia, and
I was always one of those kids, you know, like the 6 lines when you make that like cool S, or like how you always scatter your paper with all those like weirdly detailed eyes, but just never draw the rest of the face. I was one of those kids. I was also one of those kids that was like silently in the back of the class staring at people like, yeah, I'm gonna change the world. Haven't done it yet, but for my SIP project, my passion is art, so I wanted to combine my love for art with my wanting to help people with their conflicts. My whole life, I've been surrounded by people with mental illnesses. I have ADHD, my brother has it, and other things. I've known a lot of people with other like mental illnesses, and I wanted to, with the help of my mentor, so Brian, who's the creative writing teacher, and she helps. She runs the creative writing club at Westwood High. She helped me organize my thoughts because I was focusing more on the writing perspective since I love art but didn't know much about writing. And she really helped me organize my ideas, and I couldn't have done it without her, especially because I get really nervous it's okay. Sharing my ideas with people. So I wanted to, through my story, I wanted to show how people can feel like they're transported to another world when they feel like they don't fit in. And maybe I could show kids to not judge people by the cover of the book. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Grace Sterling. My passion is marketing. My mentor is Darcy Fisher. She works at Ellis Strategies in Boston as a public relations specialist. For my project, I worked closely within business owners in Islington Center, which has gone through a major redevelopment recently. I created an Instagram account for Islington Center and working closely with the businesses to advertise the different products and different services that each one of them offers. For example, I conducted an interview with the one and only Mike DiCero, who is about to open. I mean, I'm super psyched about this, the Italian restaurant and deli. And I wrote an article about what the public can expect. This new eatery called Neroli. And I also had the most fun time getting to go behind the scenes and make Instagram reels showing how products are made. For example, like Birdie's has this signature sundae called the Wolverine Sundae. And I got to go behind the scenes and record them filming like the ice cream and like zooming in. And you can check out the gram with that QR code. And throughout this experience, I've learned so much from Ms. Stewart and Darcy. Thank you so much. And I've learned communication skills, basic marketing, along with time management. It has solidified my interest in marketing. And I am so grateful for everyone who's even like looked at my page, like followed, and throughout this whole entire experience, it would have been possible without the businesses who are so willing to open their doors for their project, my project. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Ali Tark. My passion is computer science, and I've been coding for around 2 years now. My mentor is Ms. Clifford, who is a faculty here at Westwood High School. My goal of my project was to create a memory game application to strengthen and refine one's memory, and it is open to people of all ages, elders to children. For the future, I have partnered with the Westwood Council of Aging at the Senior Center to run a beta testing of my app, which will happen on November 28th. I would say from this project, I've learned so much about Python, which has certainly increased my passion for it, so much about patience, time management, and networking as well. From this project, I've successfully created my first mobile application, and I would like to thank SIP, Mrs. Clifford, Ms. Stewart, and the Westwood School Committee for allowing me to partake in this wonderful event. Thank you.
think that was our last presentation. Yes? Okay, great.
I'd like to see if we have any questions or comments from the school committee.
Great, wonderful, all around. Thank you.
Yeah, really interesting projects, really diverse group of projects. Really impressive, very impressive, guys.
And for the students who were able to write articles and that sort of thing, I would love the opportunity to check them out if it's possible to share.
Now that we are
We
getting
need
some,
the app.
Yeah.
Some of us more than others.
we're hoping now to get an article in the local newspaper to describe the work you've done, to share it with the town. It's amazing. And I was wondering at some time in the future, somebody could be innovative to maybe do evaluations by contacting our SIP recipients of the last few years and ask them what difference it made in college or in the companies they set up on their own. You know, how did the SIP program allow you? So keep that in your mind. We may be contacting you for your thoughts, because I think the presentations have been amazing with new companies being set up and all this. And I'd love to do an evaluation at some time of our graduates, particularly the SIP kids, on what difference did it make for you in your career. So keep in mind, would love to learn more from you, how this program helped you. Thank you.
Can I just say that this is rapidly becoming my favorite school committee meeting of the year when we get to hear from all of you, because I feel like you all are just such a tremendous representation of the great work that happens throughout the school district all the time. And your projects were so impressive, and also your presentation tonight, you were all so well prepared and poised and articulate, and really it was just
You gave up your summer.
yeah, it was great. So I will say I now have articles to read, an ice cream sundae that I'm definitely going to check out, and I will get these slides, the copy, out to the school committee so you can check out the QR code with Grace's Instagram account and
I just
and
pulled
get
up
those
the
links.
Instagram
Oh,
account.
great.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, a lot of followers from the local businesses.
Great.
When is the deli opening? What's the word?
So I can't really say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. They're doing a soft opening on Saturday.
Ooh, that's news.
Soon, okay. That's great. Okay, fantastic.
All right.
It's great. All
Also,
right,
for those-
thank you.
For those of you that want to be writers, I'd just like to share with you the top ESPN sports writer in the United States is a woman. Is named Jackie McMullen. And she was started in Westwood High writing up softball games for the local newspaper. She became a top writer at the Globe, then went on to ESPN, and she probably, when she just retired recently, was recognized as the top female sports commentator, starting at Westwood High, writing up softball games. So it was wonderful to share that. How are we doing with the,
I think we've got the lacrosse team here.
We got
So,
the lacrosse
okay,
team?
so we're going to thank SIP, and you
SIP,
are
if
welcome
you-
to
if
take
you'd
this
like to
moment
leave,
to
take
leave.
advantage of that.
Thank you. Thanks, Catherine. That's great. Thank you. Yeah.
I mean, that would be
Yeah, you say a few words and then we'll get it. Oh, they've got their hardware with them.
I told my name. You want to wear them? All right, we're going to wear them. Putting them on.
Great.
Okay.
Probably wouldn't fit right.
Is Mr. Gillis here too? I thought I saw him.
I think Matt's there.
Okay. Oh, there he is.
Charlie's not even wearing his. You gotta put on your hat. We worked on it. There we go.
This part of the meeting, we'd like to welcome and honor the Westwood state champions for the second year in a row, Division I girls lacrosse team. We you girls may not realize this as you get a little older, how impressive what you've done is. You've made your families proud, the school system proud, and the town proud because of what you've accomplished, which is very unique. With a wonderful coach, Margot Spatola, in the history of the Leslie Frank tradition, it's amazing what you've been able to carry on. I just want to summarize a few things that were how the publicity you got for the town of Westwood. So the Boston Globe, in this article, which was very impressive, they said, for a fleeting minute, Westwood girls lacrosse team saw its dynamic reign on the ropes. Then number 2 Wolverines reminded everyone in attendance why they have not lost since before COVID-19. After giving up a goal in 30 seconds in, Westwood dominated Monday's Division I championship game against number 4 Wellesley, winning 16-1 at Babson College. That's the Globe. The Herald said, "Pursuing perfection" was the headline and the sports section. Perfection isn't exactly sometimes simple to attain. Some high school programs never truly reach the pinnacle. But there's the Westwood High girls lacrosse team, which hasn't simply accomplished seemingly unattainable heights on a regular basis. The Wolverines have made it look easy. So these are tremendous compliments from the top sports writers in the area, giving you girls that kind of an honor. I've benefited being able to go every one of your home games. I also have a fan, Lil Hancock, my granddaughter. She's been encouraging me on. She's taught me a lot. So what we'd like to do is to honor you with a plaque, to thank you for the work you've done for the town, the school, and maybe have a brief picture taken after the ceremony. So we're going to just come up here and give you...
Can I just say one thing?
Please.
So let me reiterate how very proud we are of all of you. And my own children, who are small and had really never seen a lacrosse game, came with me to, I guess it was a semifinal game at Natick. So I was trying to explain, how this goes. And of course, you scored and we all cheered because now you're their team, right? And then you kept scoring and scoring, and my kids were like, "This is great." It's like it was, so much action, and I had to explain to them that not every fan gets to have that experience of cheering on a team that's just so skilled and wonderful. So I share that with you. Thank you for from those of us who get to watch your talent and skill and hard work on display. So congrats. And we have some plaques here. I think what we're going to do is we have some things to give you, and we'll sort of introduce you, and then once we have the plaques, we can all just scoot into the lobby for a second so we can take a picture.
We also want to thank you for your contribution to our new school committee member, your goalie.
All right, so we have Charlotte DeMeo.
Just come down here.
Emily DeMeo. Haley Kutzer. Ava Connaughton. Lindsay Diamede. Caroline Nonzillo. Hey, Non. Libby Dortsky. Kate Dean. Lily Bean. Emma Ricci. Katie McGowan. Kendall Blomquist. Olivia Williams. Maddie Lyons. Heavy duty here tonight. Lil Hancock. Hillary Noble. Katie Krumsiak. Grail. Thank you. And Dee Dee Nicole. And yes, and we want to recognize Coach Margot Spatola for her incredible leadership. All right.
Going to go out to the hallway for a quick picture.
With our 2022 Division I state champions.
Good, how are you? No, I played field hockey. Oh, there you go. Yeah, well, we weren't very good. You brought the personalities. I know, right? Cover up the gray. I know. Right. I know, I went into the office today and I was like straightening and makeup. And I'm like, what is happening? I know. Oh, my makeup is so old. I go into the office most days. I don't wear, I just wear yeah. Are we on schedule? Me too. I need a lot more work. Me too. Probably all on the live stream. Are listening? I was just going to say something. Into our makeup pattern.
Public participation. Yep, and I've got
Because we're all doing one song.
yes. You can do that. Yeah.
I think we're going to get started again. The dog's got to get home to be walked, so.
Right, your dog, Charlie. We all know. That your
First,
dog.
this is a part of our meeting. We have public comments. We ask anyone in the public has 3 minutes to speak. We don't respond to it. We just listen to you. And we also will have something we've just started doing, which is office visits. It's group office visits where people come in and we talk as a group about your comments. And that date will be September 15th at 9 o'clock in the morning.
October
I'm sorry, October 15th.
at 9:30.
At 9:30, okay. And you'll meet on the front of the building, or you go in and there's a room right over there. So if you want to come for public discussions of your issues. So are there any people here today that would like to participate in the public comment period? See, any hands? Yes. Thank you. Just identify yourself.
I think she comes down.
Sorry, you have to
Yes,
come down to the mic.
here. Just your name and address.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Julie Gervais. My address is 118 Colburn Street. I am a parent of 2 Westwood High School students, a freshman and a junior, and I'm also a member of the Westwood Environmental Action Committee. And I'm here tonight because I wanted to show support for one of the agenda items that you have talking about the Solar Phase 2 project. So I just wanted to talk about why I'm supporting it and why I think it's important to the town. First, it really aligns with the renewable energy goals that were outlined in our comprehensive plan. So today, about 50% or so of our energy comes from renewable sources. With this project, we think we can get that to about 75%, which I think is a great direction for the town. I know there's been a lot of concerns about parking. I think that we've shown, and we'll show in the presentation tonight, that parking should not be impacted by this project. It's a no-cost project to the town up front. Through our PPA agreement, I think Amoresco is going to speak to that tonight. I think there's a lot of benefits to that. The other thing that I wanted to say is, I think one of the big benefits is this can demonstrate to the district that Westwood is focused on renewable energy and the environment. So I think it's a really great learning opportunity for students, and hopefully something that my students in school can take advantage of. And finally, as a member of WEAC, we are happy to support this project. So if the school board decides that this is something that they want to support and the select board wants to support, we're happy to work with you on promoting this and raising awareness within the town. So just wanted to share my thoughts on that tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to?
Hello, my name is Claire Galkowski. I live at 320 Dover Road. I'm a former member of WEAC and probably future. And I too wanted to express my support for this project. There are so many pluses to it. First of all, the financial aspect is just undeniably huge for the town, be huge savings. But it's also good for our children. I have three granddaughters now, and I really worry about their future in a warming planet. Pakistan is a third underwater right now. The whole country, a third of the whole country is underwater, and it's been attributed to climate change, which is caused by the sources of energy that power our electric grid, which are largely fossil fuels. And I think it would be a wonderful thing for the town of Westwood to really step up and help solve that problem so that our children and the students that are going to the schools have a better future. And there's also some convenience issues as well. Like it would be protective of the people who are driving in their cars in inclement weather. It'll keep the cars cool in the summer. It'll keep you dry when you're walking in from the parking lot in the rain. And, it'll keep the snow off the cars. So, and as Julie said, there will be no loss of parking spaces, no disruption of any programs that are typically planned in the parking areas. So I really, truly hope that our school committee will support this project. It's a really important project for the town, and it will enable other projects as an anchor to go forward. So, thank you very much.
Anybody else, the public comment period? Well, thank you very much for your comments. The next item is school committee updates, chair updates, liaison reports. I have a chance to not be too winded, but I want to, first of all, recognize the work that Emily has done recently, speaking out in the Westwood News, describing where we are, what we learned from the summer, what we've learned from previous years. So I just want to thank you for explaining to the public very, very well. But also, we've really very supportive of the vaccination rates in our schools, which I think is a part of the future. And I think we encourage parents to get their kids vaccinated. But we also have coming up a regular flu season where kids miss school, teachers miss school just from the ordinary flu. So Westwood Health Department is sponsoring a free clinic in Westwood High's parking lot. You can come in and get a free flu shot for the flu, which is coming, changes every year. And it's going to be sponsored by Walgreens, and you just call up Walgreens and get an appointment. But it's going to be at 10 o'clock in the morning on October 22nd in the parking lot. And I think every year we have all different categories of kids and teachers out with the flu. So just to keep aware that the health department, as Emily mentioned, has taken over from us a lot of our testing and things we used to do. I'd also like just to bring to your attention, something that we should get more involved in, which is the Westwood Cultural Council. Has $7,000 to give out this year to projects in Westwood. They'd love to give it to the schools. Last year, they gave one grant to one elementary school, not 5. Middle school, high school, and the preschool, integrated preschool got a grant. Some of the grants to the Westwood schools went $1,900, $1,500, $300. And what they're looking for is PTOs, teachers, even students could write projects up to support workshops, lectures, exhibits, science, visiting different places. So they do have a deadline of October 17th. You need to get your proposal in. There's an information session September 13th if you want to learn about this. And you just go to the website, which is Westwood Cultural Council at Gmail to get the information. But I'd like to see more of our schools involved in taking advantage of this money, which they would love to give to our schools for any of these types of projects. So that would be something that one of the elementary schools did it. There's no reason the other 4 can't do it. Also, we heard today with the SIP program, Kids Doing Writing, the Hotown Weekly is looking for sports freelancers. They would like to have Westwood sports events covered by local kids writing them up. It's a wonderful opportunity. I mentioned Jackie McMullen, went on to a wonderful career. And I think be a wonderful opportunity to get writing done from the students on these perspectives. So if there's any questions for me from the members of the school committee, please feel free to ask me, but I'd like to move on. The school building project update.
Yep. So as anyone driving down Gay Street has noticed, there's a change. The site has been cleared for the new building. I think it took a lot of us. I think seeing 9 acres cleared is very different than hearing it. So I think we're all getting used to that clearing. But it's been very successful, and blasting actually began this week. We saw a test blast, and it was very much a non-event, right? It was.
My kids were disappointed.
I know.
It was such a non-event.
It is not what its name implies. So that's exciting. So we are hopeful that maybe in October, November, we'll start actually to see foundations poured and steel in the ground. I did want to mention there's some news out in the social media world about some things that have occurred. I just wanted to touch on those. Mainly, it was an issue with tree removal. So we had, as everyone knows, we had committed to the community to reroute the fire access trail from the start of the project so that no one would ever lose access to Lowell Woods, that you would always be able to access it from the school site. So that was one of the first things that happened. And during the clearing process, it was necessary to clear some additional area on either side just to get access to the site for grading, for vehicle access. And in addition, there was also a number of trees that were found to be dead or partially dead or leaning on other trees. So all of those had to come out. They posed a safety hazard to pedestrians. Having said that, the tree removal contractor did acknowledge it removed a number of trees beyond the amount necessary. There have been numbers out in social media that I'm not sure of the accuracy of, but there was additional clearing that did not necessarily have to occur. As soon as the on-site team realized what happened, they stopped the clearing and immediately began working with the project's landscape architect to formulate a remediation plan. So the remediation plan is going to try and it's planting new trees. They're not all saplings, as I've heard in the community. It's going to be a mix. It's going to be a mix of various sized trees and shrubs. The variety allows to create sort of more natural plantings. We've been asked, why aren't you planting mature trees to replace the mature trees that were lost? I think the landscape architect made it very clear that you cannot transplant mature trees and replant them. They will not thrive in a woodland community, and this is the best way to ensure the longevity and the sustenance of the replantings. I want to make clear that the mitigation plan is going to be reviewed and approved by the Conservation Commission, as well, I believe, the Planning Board. That's all in process. And finally, this mitigation plan is at no cost to the town. So all of these trees are going to be replanted, no cost to Westwood. As John Cummings, who is chair of the PBC, has said multiple times and has told me multiple times, every construction project will have its own set of challenges. This was one of those for us, but the Permanent Building Committee is satisfied that the project team addressed the challenge expeditiously and in a manner that's very satisfactory to the PBC. So I just wanted to address that because there has been chatter, particularly on social media, and I wanted to kind of put some facts out there. Otherwise, the project is going great. Brate Builders is a great partner with us. As I mentioned, we're very happy with how they've been handling a lot of the issues. It's been a little bit of a tough summer with the drought. There has been a lot of dust. I'm sure Matt can attest to that. But the recent rain was helpful. We also have a dust mitigation plan fully in place now. So we are going to push forward, and I think everyone will be very excited once they start seeing this building go up. And
I think the students are already excited.
Yes, so there's good stuff happening at the site.
There is. The contractors that were great about creating, there's sort of like that little knoll with the trees that kids like to play on in the playground, and they've created a big section of the fencing where there isn't any screening so that it's possible to actually see the whole construction site. And I was there, I don't know, a few days ago. There were some very small kids, and there were probably 5 or 6 excavators out there. Like, it was a lot of good stuff to watch. And we are really thinking about ways that we can bring kids into the project. So one of our instructional technology coaches, Mark Gogan, is going to be working with a team of kids. We have a drone, and every week they're going to be flying the drone over the site and act as kind of documentarians of the project, and think about how they can share that footage out with the student body, not just at Hanlon, but we hope at Deerfield also, so that we can start getting those kids involved and excited as well. So it's great.
Thank you. Any questions, Mayor, from the school committee? No, I can.
No.
Thank the school committee for many, many years. We all sat at those meetings every morning, and that Mayor took. So thank you. Tremendous amount of work you put into this project from beginning and still. So thank you so much for keeping us so involved in all of the valuable information you've contributed. School start time subcommittee.
A couple things. The upcoming, we adjusted the parent forum. It's going to be on October 3rd, a Monday. It's going to be at Thurston. So we encourage you to come, people in the community, to mark that on your calendar. I know there's a lot of things coming up, but mark that Monday. It'll be a chance to learn more about the options we're considering and get feedback on that. We're also, we're doing a lot of work, Lemma's been working a lot with it. We have a consultant doing some traffic studies as well. And it's quite interesting as I drive my daughter to school thinking about the traffic impacts. So we're looking at that. We are now planning, I think, at the next 2 meetings to have some conversations on this with a hope of making a vote on the November decision. And just a reminder for the community, our hope is to implement any changes a year from now, so for the fall of 2023.
Any questions for Tony? It's a tremendous effort that Tony's put into this with the committees, the surveys they've done, asked input from all over the town. So it's a very valuable resource of many people you organized, and thank you very much for what you've done on it. Policy Review Subcommittee.
Not much of an update. We are starting back up. We have a meeting scheduled next week.
Took the summer off?
We did, yeah. Yep.
Lazy.
Only
We're excited to get going again.
1,000 pages to be reviewed. It's quite a challenging effort, but thank you for all your patience in keeping that going.
My pleasure.
It's early in the year, but any other liaison reports? We're beginning to talk tonight about the average school committee member has probably 4 to 5 other committees that we sit on. We're going to finalize tonight what they are, but anybody have any updates on yet? So we try to report at school committee meetings what we're learning from all the other committees we sit on. Moving on, the next item is discussion items. The first one is the solar panel project.
Okay, I'm going to need a second here to deal with the technology.
So just point of order, Charlie, are these we've all done the pre-reads, I assume, which was very extensive. Thank you for that. Are these presentations meant to be questions and answer?
I think our plan is, so Tom Philbin is going to be on the screen.
Yeah.
He wants to say a couple words to introduce it,
Okay.
and then we have Mike Backus from
Okay.
Amoresco, and we're planning to do sort of 10, 15
Okay.
minutes of
Great.
presentation and then some discussion. So here is Tom. Do I need to do anything in terms of volume?
No, Tom's unmuted, so you might
Okay.
just want to turn up your volume.
So Tom is unmuted. That's as high as mine goes.
Oh, actually, yeah, sorry. Click the little up arrow and then see a microphone.
Oh, yeah, I need to put it into.
And select HS School Committee.
Got it.
That's-
All right, we think we should be able to hear you. Can you say hello, Tom?
Yes, hello. Can
All
you hear
right.
me all right now?
Yes, we can. All right,
Great.
you're on.
All right, thank you very much for the opportunity to present to you some of the details of this Westwood Phase 2 Solar Initiative. In my opinion, the initiative is very, very important to the town for several reasons. The town now spends about $1 million a year on electricity. We have a long-term contract that will keep these prices fairly stable through December of 2026. But however, that further increases will hit us very heavily around that time. If we do nothing, we can expect that in January of 2027, we'll have somewhere between a 20 and a 40% increase in these costs. So it really behooves us to do now, while we have the time, whatever we can to minimize these future financial impacts. The best way, in my opinion, to do this is by the installation of solar energy and conservation. The Phase 2 Solar Initiative will go a long way to minimize this future financial impact and give us some financial predictability and safety going forward. Phase 2 consists of 3 to 5 projects throughout the town, and the high school parking lot canopy project is the so-called anchor project for this effort. In other words, the size of the high school project affects the economic viability of all the other projects and is the most important to the overall viability of the whole Phase 2 effort. The solar initiative will significantly lower our carbon footprint as well, and especially in terms of the schools and municipal buildings, and that is consistent with the Massachusetts goal of eliminating fossil fuels from our energy future. There are numerous permitting, engineering, design, public acceptance benchmarks that need to be addressed in order for us and for these projects to move forward. But approval by the school board here of the high school parking lot solar project is a vital part of this process. Accordingly, I would ask you, after review of the material given to you, and after the following presentation, you'll feel free to allow this process to move forward. I would like now to turn the presentation over to Amoresco, who will give you something of a more engineering detailed look. And at the end of the presentation, I of course, will be available to answer any other questions that you might have of me. Mike, are you there? Mike Backus?
Superintendent, school committee, and thanks for the time. And by the way, congratulations on a great season and fantastic school.
Okay, is Mike there? Mike?
I'm here.
Yes, we're all set,
Live.
Tom.
Okay.
Yeah, if you could just go to the next slide. I'm going to just speak for 30 seconds, and I'm going to turn over to Tony, who actually has done all the legwork of the project. Some more of the fluff, but just a little introduction. Next slide. Oh, you're controlling, I'm sorry. So my name is Mike Backus. Some of you have met me at the previous school committee meeting.
Sorry, I can't quite.
I'm a long-term Westwood resident, been here since 1984. I helped found what's probably the largest independent energy services company in North America, focused strictly on renewable energy, and have had the enjoyment of sending a number of kids through the school and have a 3-year-old that's chomping at the bit to go through the school as well. Tony, who's going to speak shortly, has been really spearheading the development effort on the technical side, and he can speak to more of the project and answer any questions you should have. Next slide. A little quick background on Amoresco. So, as I mentioned, I think at the previous meeting, the company was started by 3 of us on cocktail napkins at Joe's American Bar and Grill in Dedham. and quickly grew the company to the point where in 2010 we took it public. Today we're traded on the New York Stock Exchange with assets over $3 billion. And I bring this up simply is that you've got a long-term partner that has financial viability to be here for the full term of our agreement. Since we've been around, we've implemented over $11 billion in energy projects. We've grown from 3 people to 1,300 employees, and we're Massachusetts-based. We're based in Framingham. We employ almost 200 people now. And just in Massachusetts alone, I think we have about $250 million in assets. Our main focus is renewable energy and energy efficiency. We've been doing it before people really coined the term ESG. You can go to the next slide if you want. Our main markets have been K through 12, municipal, and higher ed, but we do a fair book of business at the commercial sector as well. So since 2010, when we went public, we've actually had a material impact across the country. We've delivered over 75 million metric tons of CO2 reduced from our projects, which is the same as just this year alone, 2021, our projects delivered the same carbon sequestration as 16.7 million acres of U.S. forest in 1 year. So we've been doing this. This is our bread and butter. We've had a great working relationship with the town from the previous project, and this next project I think will really catapult you folks into reaching a lot of your goals. The one thing that Tom didn't mention is that as we move to electrify, and this is you hear this from the Biden administration, and even our own governor signed to law now something that is going to mimic California. California is going to stop making gasoline vehicles come 2035, and Massachusetts was going to follow that. Well, your folks are doing a great job to address the governmental facilities, but as all the residents electrify, our load in our town's going to go up. And what that means is you got to get more electricity into the town. Barring not having generation in the town, you're going to have to bring that in from the outside, which means more infrastructure investment by the utility. You guys will have a great opportunity because you'll have your own generation. And having that resource here, especially renewables, is very powerful. Will be over the next decade. You can go to the next slide. And this just is a show that we're not newbies at this. We've been recognized globally with a number of awards in the specific space. I think with that, we'll get to the salient point. I'll turn this over to Tony, who will actually get into some of our project experience and, more importantly, this phase of the project. And what we try to do is, from our last meeting with you, you folks gave us some fantastic feedback. We try to incorporate that into this next round to address some of the questions that were brought up, as well as community engagement. So, Tony, you want to take the mic?
Good evening, school committee, and everyone who's in attendance tonight. It's a pleasure to be here and to meet you and to tell you about this project and this opportunity for Westwood. So this slide mentions some of the other projects that are nearby, including the 4 that you see here. And you can go to these sites and see these canopies. They're similar. They'll be the similar height as these, and you can also, we can get you in touch with people there if you have questions. We did put together an FAQ based on our experience with some of these projects that answers a lot of the questions that we have experience answering for solar canopy projects.
Are these all at high schools?
Yes, most of the, high schools, middle schools, and some of them are, so Newton is high school, Wayland High School, Natick High School and Middle School, Lexington, several schools at Lexington that are, some of which are currently in construction.
So if we wanted to just drive to these, we could get a list from you guys of where to go.
Absolutely,
okay.
And I can send that to. We can provide that list
okay.
if. So I drive by Wayland on the way to work, and I've stopped by there a couple times. If I have questions about something, I just go there and look at certain details. And I think when you see them up close, they're bigger than what you see in the pictures, yeah. And so you could take a look, and that's one of the best ways to get familiar with what it is to see it in person. On site, and there's a number of schools that have these solar canopies. So those opportunities exist. And by the way, we have a lot of dedicated colleagues at Amoresco who are supporting this project. I'm one of the project developers who's representing Amoresco tonight. But we have engineering, finance, construction, and others, legal, who are involved in the project and projects like this. So phase one was included Westwood High School. We have 186 kilowatts. These are DC ratings. And this project, by the way, at Westwood High School would quadruple that solar capacity. Mike and I were just discussing. Martha Jones, Downey, and Thurston Middle. We did an analysis recently to look at the production in 2021, 663,000 kilowatt hours for these 4 projects, and actual cost savings of $84,000. That was very easy to determine because they're all standalone doing net meter credits. And so we just take that and subtract the PPA invoices for 2021, and it tells you what the economic benefit is for the year. So the phase 2 proposal is, the anchor project is here, and it's 673 kilowatts DC. You can see it would produce around 800,000 kilowatt hours. We have 808,000 kilowatt hours simulated in the latest design, and it qualified for Smart Incentive Block 6 in the SMART program. We included some renderings here, so we can provide these renderings if anybody needs a copy. Lemma or
Even the material.
Tom.
Yeah. And of course, this has changed since we talked in the spring. The location of the canopies has been adjusted.
One of the things we did, I remember at our meeting, I think it was Anthony brought up in Westwood, and the concern of like the stage and that area, so we removed that section of the panel so that way you still have the stage and the band and all that. And just have a little section.
I think there's one more rendering here.
And tell me about the accessibility. I saw that in the pre-read. The sidewalk, yeah. Go ahead.
Right, so that's a walkway that would be added
Okay.
under that panel, and it would be ADA compliant. It would stretch from, there's an existing walkway at the other end of this parking lot, closer to this little theater, and then there's another walkway that leads to the fields, sort of from where the picture's taken. And it would, it almost looks like it fits very well there because of the existing sidewalks that are perpendicular to it, and it runs from one to the other. So it might be a good addition for pedestrians who are walking, from the field to, or from one side of the campus over to the Little Theater, for example, this location of the campus. Other phase 2 projects are listed here. Council on Aging, you can see canopies there. That's a long span canopy, which would cover a couple rows that are separated. And a smaller canopy that almost touches over the tot lot. And this is actually a revised design too. There's a small canopy near the entrance, but those trees should remain in place, so those trees can't be cleared. So that canopy was removed, but it's still 299 kilowatts DC and 350,000 kilowatt hours, which would be significant production. And Thurston Middle School, I don't have an image here, but that would be additional rooftop solar, 85 kilowatts. And Police Town Hall would be potentially another canopy, 160 kilowatts. So we're looking at those 2 or 3 additional projects as well.
The middle school was originally planned to phase 1, but because of roof work, that was done.
This is a project schedule, and it's conservative due to lead times on materials, which have ranged up to 42 weeks. Even for some small components that we need, like disconnect switches and certain breakers and steels, 6 months. We could have the interconnection service agreement with Eversource if we move expeditiously by January, even late December is possible. The issue would be if we have 100% design in January, we may not be able to begin construction until middle of the summer. Construction of solar canopies in the parking lots is typically scheduled for the summer at schools to avoid traffic. And it's, give yourself 2 months to complete the construction. It usually takes less than that once we have all the materials on site and the foundations in place. So we've conservatively put summer of 2024 for now. It's possible we could have it done in 2023, summer of 2023. There was some feedback provided and response to that feedback. Responses to that feedback are included here. The design revision, which was mentioned, and the next one is the next response to feedback is about the PPA rate, which was a little bit higher than the low electric utility rate that the town of Westwood is locked into for the next 3 years, as Tom mentioned in his introduction. So an adjustment was made to lower the rate in the first 4 years so that it provides positive cost savings for the town throughout the project. And community outreach has been important, and I know Tom has been working on that community outreach. So here's a couple examples of that. And Amoresco will be in attendance at Westwood Day, so if there's questions about the project, we'll have representatives there who can answer questions and are happy to answer questions. Of course, we can answer questions between now and then too. I think there's some additional notes. Here's some features of the Phase 2 projects, and several of these were mentioned already. The covered parking areas, integrated LED lighting, so the existing light poles in the parking lot lights would be replaced by these canopies, and the new LED lighting that's integrated under the canopies. There are existing foundations in that parking lot in the high school, so if you want to get an idea or a sense of what a foundation looks like in between opposing parking spaces, you can take a look at, for example, the existing parking lot lights, and it would be similar to that. They're 36-inch diameter foundations. The walkway we mentioned. Here's some additional notes. I just wanted to mention there is a investment tax credit which helps the project, and we put in a note about the solar equipment useful life. On the panels, it's 25 years, and the warranty is for 25 years with some degradation over time, and typical useful life is 30 years. Inverters vary. The standard warranty is 5 years with extensions up to 20 years. The way the PPA works is Amoresco provides comprehensive operations and maintenance of the system. Amoresco has to ensure production. It's in Amoresco's interest to make sure that production is maximized. So if we have to replace an inverter, we'll find it and correct the issues as quickly as possible to maintain production at the level it needs to be. After 20 years, the town can, there is decommissioning included in the agreement. If the town wanted to completely remove the system after 20 years for some reason, that's included as part of the agreement. However, these systems last for another 10 years, so the town could take the system at that point, and it's the town legally has to purchase it at fair market value at that point, that time, and then Amoresco could continue to provide operations and maintenance on the system.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tony.
Any questions from school committee members?
I have some questions.
Sure.
I know this was in the pre-read, but I just wanted to talk about liability in terms of, because I know that was a concern that I raised at the last meeting. As I understand it from the pre-read, to the extent any part of this equipment, whether it's a solar panel, an inverter, or any portion of it, including these sort of concrete, the concrete portions of it too, for as long as the project is there. I know you mentioned warranties, but for as long as the project is there, and we don't exercise the buyout option, is the repair, maintenance, replacement obligation with Amoresco the entire time?
Right. Amoresco carries insurance on the system. That's part of the PPA. Any repairs that are required are covered by Amoresco. If inverters need to be replaced, if there's an issue with the data acquisition system, Amoresco has a remote operations and control center that does 24/7, 365 monitoring. It's based in Westboro, and it's usually that's usually identified very quickly. Some of those problems can be addressed remotely. So that's an advantage of the PPA, is if with a large project like this and a lot of inverters, the inverters fail. And if you're not monitoring them, it may take some time to find that. And you may lose out on some power, on some solar power in the meantime. So it's an advantage of a PPA.
In essence, they're Amoresco's assets, so you have no obligation to do any repairs to it.
Okay,
You're
regardless of cost.
Doesn't matter. You're essentially leasing us the property, and we're putting our stuff on the property and selling the generation of electricity to the town.
Okay. And then in terms of benefit to the town, I know that there's this cost, there's a savings, right? You can certainly quantify that savings. And there's zero cost to the town for the capital outlay. Is there any other benefit to the town, or is it just the savings? Aside from the sort of generation of electricity, but which correlates to the savings, presumably, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is there any other benefit?
Well, there's the protection from the weather, which a lot of people will do this purely for that.
Right. But financially, it's the savings.
There's financially, it's the savings. I'm trying to think if financially there's other benefits.
It's also a hedge, and I think John
Yeah,
brought this up.
I was going to comment on that.
The reality is that been around too long, and I've seen energy prices spike. And you guys are essentially putting a great hedge in place, so it doesn't matter what the market's doing for that volume of electricity.
Right.
And look, as we electrify, and it's happening, it's going on. It's not rocket science. It's supply and demand. There's not as much supply. I mean, and the demand's going to go up, the prices are going up, and that's just reality. That's why towns, municipals, people with tight budgets, they're jumping all over doing this self-generation, and they're controlling their own destiny.
Right.
I was, one thing I wanted to stress is just the price stability, like predictability for budget purposes is the other value. So it is savings, but it's also predictability in the sense that we won't,
So budget
we'd get
certainty.
less of a surprise in the
Right.
middle of an operating budget year with an unexpected rise in electric rates that then leads us to do something drastic to find the funds somewhere else or to, reduce our purchasing in another area. So that's an example of that, or ability to budget for future years.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other thing that some of the commercial customers are looking at it, which could roll over to everybody, is potential for carbon tax. So the reality is, if you go and see, now the SEC just in the spring issued draft rules to require companies to report any carbon risk on the balance sheet. A lot of big companies are foreseeing down the road to be a carbon tax, and the more you lower your carbon footprint, the less exposure you have to that kind of risk. And that could be something else that you guys end up mitigating through these type of projects.
Any other questions?
You have a few. The Inflation Reduction Act. So if we do get those tax credits, who gets that money?
Yeah, that doesn't come to us,
We're
right?
We monetize. You folks aren't a taxable entity, so what we do is it's monetized in the form of a rate.
So it lowers the rate. If
So
it
we would
wasn't
we
there,
would get some benefit from that.
it's passed through. So I mean,
Okay.
if it wasn't there, the rate would have to be much higher.
Got it. Okay.
So was the rate shown, does that assume the tax credit?
The 30%. That's correct.
Okay.
Well, that's in place.
It's in place.
Yeah, so at the previous meeting before it got passed, correct me if I'm wrong, Tony, I think the current tax credit was like 26%.
26%.
Right.
And now
this
it's
year.
so you guys are benefiting by that incremental amount. It also extended it, which won't impact you as much as we doing the project now.
Okay.
And then, this may be an ignorant question, so help me understand in the pre-read, it talks about the schools will be 110%. So that extra generation, where does that flow?
Net excess generation would go out to the grid. This project is expected to have minimal net excess generation because of the load. So, Tom, you're more familiar with this. I think it's around 20% it would offset.
I think this project would offset about 26% of our current usage. But Tony's right that overall between the Phase 1 projects and then we have an agreement with Greenbacker for an array that's out in Woburn. So if we look at the production from that array and the production from Phase 1 and the production from this one, we would be at 110% of what we
The
currently
schools.
use today in the Westwood schools only, not the town. So that the town, it would, I mean, town-wide, we would say we are now at 50% renewable sources for electricity is where we are at the town. The Westwood schools currently are at 84% renewable sources. But there is no penalty to exceeding, and like Tony's right, that it kind of goes back to the grid. There are financial incentives that are complicated through each of these three agreements. So the one that's a virtual array has a different financial structure than what we're proposing today with Phase 2. Each has its benefits. The short story is we don't need to worry about the fact that we've exceeded that 100%. And the other thing that I would flag is that we anticipate that our electric needs are going to rise for various reasons, but including new equipment that we buy that will be
In the new school.
electric. Yes, especially in the new Hamlin Deerfield School. So.
Can't you reallocate those credits to other accounts if necessary?
We could potentially
I think,
reassign things. So the Woburn array isn't necessarily assigned to any building. So it's a bit, it's less direct in its application. But the Amoresco projects, I mean, you could speak to this. We may be able to reassign the credits. I haven't had a problem with that, so we're not yet facing a situation where we're having a difficulty using our renewable energy credits. That's not an issue right now.
Okay. And two more questions, sorry. And by the way, thank you for taking those changes into account.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that.
This presentation
Yeah,
is
thank you.
very
I mean, thank you
helpful.
for some of the changes we talked about back in whenever it was, June. So let me understand the other town projects, because there was a little bit in the pre-read that maybe some of the other ones aren't going to be part of the, like the police fire. Are these, yeah, because it'd be helpful to understand what the municipal side's doing.
Which specifically the police department, town hall,
Yeah,
or
there was
fire?
there seemed like in the note, in the pre-read, that there was questions whether or not that was moving forward as part of the Phase 2.
So the fire department is difficult due to the size.
No, I
It's-
mean the canopies over next to town hall.
Oh, next to town hall. Okay, so town hall there's potential for a canopy. Tom and I are supposed to be discussing that. We're supposed to have a meeting, but we've been a little preoccupied. That canopy was very close to the police department, and there were concerns about permitting that as close as it was. So we're in the process of reviewing bylaws and zoning ordinances, and I think Tom was planning to reach out to the fire chief to see if it would be acceptable, the design that we currently have, and if not, how we could revise it or shift it in the parking lot or move it to the town hall parking lot somehow and have the same capacity and production and not have any issues with permitting. So the fire truck could still drive underneath it, but there might be a problem as close as it is to the building. So this is something we're trying to work through right now.
But it sounds like with existing municipal buildings, there isn't much more opportunity. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, especially on the rooftops.
Right.
Yeah, and then, we'd love to do more, but.
But after this project, the schools will be actually at over 100%, presuming the municipals are below that, right? Is that fair? Okay. And
The
then,
overall town's gotten the benefit at the end of the day.
yeah, no, I mean, I think we have to come, I'd love to see additional input up the street on High Street to make sure that they're doing the most they can be as well. So that's just my little perspective. I'd love to see you go into those meetings as well. Finally, and I know she's going to give me the evil eye. since we're talking about 2024, what about Hamlin? No, I'm kind of serious. Like, is there potential to put?
Wasn't this, for some reason.
I'm gonna kill you, Tony.
Let's go big. Let's go big.
Wasn't it being designed in terms of ready?
The roof is ready, solar, PV panel ready. So, yeah, so we should definitely talk about adding solar panels to that roof. I don't know if a standalone project, it's worth it for you guys. I know it needs to be part of a bigger project, but I don't know if it can be. It's probably too late to be in phase
Well, what
2.
I will say to you is that, Tom hit upon it, the anchor is the high school. And if the high school is like an area, the costs will be much higher. The more we can amortize costs over bigger volumes of electricity, the cheaper it is for the town. So now's the time to take advantage of it. I have no clue about Hamlin, but there's no reason why we can't look at it, because now's the time to capture it and leverage the high school to get the cost of those possible.
Can you scope it if the building's not built?
Just need the architectural.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's ready.
I mean, they're talking about 2024 for the high school.
But we can always, I gotta go back and look at the regs, but, so what we've done in the past is that if Dave's got questionable to capture the tax credits, we can sometimes pre-purchase the panels. Even if they're put up after the fact.
Okay.
The other thing I forgot to mention, I apologize, you mentioned about visiting some sites. Not a school or municipal, but Eversource at University Station has these up throughout their parking lot area. So if you're over University Station and you want to take a spin up the road, it's just right there.
Okay. And that's similar in design to what ours would
Yeah,
look
it's
like?
the same concept.
Okay.
I haven't been over there for a bit, but it's going to be very similar. This is, again, it's not a municipal facility, so it's not as extensive, but your parking lot's bigger.
Yeah. I think the only other concern I would have is the timing of the construction. I know that I think we would definitely, and I defer to Emily on this, but we would definitely need it to be done during summer.
Yes.
So if we miss that first window, would Amoresco be willing to hold the project until the next summer? If for whatever reason, if there's a supply issue or, you can't get the you can't get the steel or whatever you need. Because I think trying to do this in the middle of the school year.
So, I mean, the timeline that you showed us before works. You said it was a very conservative timeline, trying to factor in some of those supply chain issues, and has it in summer 2024. I mean, is there a world in which something happens where it has to be delayed even further than that, I guess is what you're asking, right?
Or the timing is such that it
I'm
doesn't.
not worried about summer 2024. I was on Tony, I only built in summer 2023.
Yeah, right. But let's say for whatever reason you wind up ready to construct in December of 2023.
One.
Do you see what I mean?
The challenge that we have is with the statement of qualifications with the SMART program. When they designed the program, they gave people 12 months, and then the pandemic, and then supply chain issues, and I think they're having a lot of problems with developers who will submit a SOQ, statement of qualifications, for public entity projects, and then or any project, and then they give you 12 months, and we have to request an extension. So we just have to make sure there's an extension. So we've already reached out to SMART about this project to let them know that it's possible it could go to summer 2024.
But I just correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, as Lemma and I have been talking about this, and I know you've had a lot of conversations with Amoresco, the reason that we're now targeting 2024 is in recognition of the fact that the goal really was this summer, 2023, but we said, no, it might actually have to be a year from then, because we know we have to wait until the summer.
Right, it's tight right now.
Yes.
So I guess, Maya, are you
It's tight
asking
right
if
now.
they have any concerns about storage of material or any other issues about holding the project? If all the materials land in September 2023, summer's over, we've missed that window.
Right.
Now we have to store them
they're
for
ready
a
to
while.
go.
So I guess that's
Right.
just a
If
question.
they're ready to go, and it's October 2023, do you need to put shovels in the ground within a certain period of time? Or can you then say, okay, we know we're ready to go, but we're going to delay it till June because of school?
For this project, for Westwood High School, or for?
For Westwood High School.
For Westwood High School, decisions will have to be made when we get the interconnection service agreement and 100% design is approved and that's when procurement happens, and looking at ahead of time what the lead times are on all of the materials, and deciding whether to purchase those materials and put them into storage, whether we can procure all the materials for summer 2023 construction, completion, commercial operation at the end of summer 2023, or if there's some issue, however large or small that equipment might be, as I said, it could be something like a piece on a breaker or a disconnect that's hard to find if it's a certain size, and then delaying procurement due to that issue to avoid storage fees until later in 2023, and then timing the procurement so that we have all the materials ahead of the summer 2024, and then construction is on schedule for summer 2024 with mechanical completion in July of 2024, commercial operation. So 2024 is not an issue at all. So yeah, procurement, timing of that procurement would be a decision that our procurement and construction manager makes, and that we make as a team when that time comes.
Is that, not to get on the Westwood side now, but they're saying is, hey, GC, you guys push hard to get to 2023, and you missed the window, but instead of all that equipment, they want you to store it, so
Right.
that you're not messing them up during school until the summer 2024, which I'm fine with.
Right.
I'm fine with that.
Okay. That's
Got it.
all. That's
Sorry.
what I wanted to hear.
I think the only thing that could change, is not change, is that it's all about accessibility. So if I can build the project in the summer of 2023, but I'm missing a transformer, I can't go live, I'm not gonna interfere in the school year because it's already built, but some of the parts that actually allow us to go live might be 3 months after.
That's
But
true.
it has no
Yeah, and I
impact to
don't,
your
that's not,
constructability.
yeah, and I mean, that's not the issue, I think. It's, the issue is you guys say in November, all right, shovels down, I mean, here we go.
Well, I think though for the town, I mean, selfishly, being a resident, I'd like to see it built as quick as possible, so you guys get savings as soon as possible. So if this thing is scheduled for 2024, we can get it online a year earlier, you folks capture another year of savings.
Yeah, it'd be great if we could, this summer, but what will not be great is if we're doing construction in the parking lot in the middle of school year.
That's a great
Okay.
point. So we
Yeah.
could, as long as we have the foundations in, the columns and the canopies,
Yeah, the connectivity can come.
doing the connections, right. So that's a possibility. We have to discuss that. So it's still, it's a very real possibility, 2023 construction.
Where does this go from here? What's the final questions? Like, I mean, where does it go? Like, leave us aside, like planning board, select board. I mean, maybe, I don't know, you tell me.
It's a full process,
Yeah.
like any other construction
Okay.
project, and I think the next step is that if the school committee likes the project and wants to move to the next step, then it's gotta get before the select board ultimately to get approval. right?
Yeah, the select board signs the PPA.
Okay, got it.
And then we still gotta go through all
And
the
the planning board or
permitting,
no? No planning
like
board?
any construction.
They
project.
There is
do-
planning
they
board.
do
Because they'll have some
They have to
pieces.
approve the
Yeah.
designs, yep.
Right.
For the permitting.
And this,
So the questions about parking, we've been looking at that a
Oh,
little
yeah.
bit, and that would have to go to the planning board. We do think that there won't be any loss of parking spaces, but we might have to, depending on the placement of those, do you call them anchors or foundations? I forgot.
Foundations, piers.
Where the placement of those piers go, we might have some parking spaces that are converted to compact spaces. It's a limited number. It's still within the rules of the planning board, based on what we've all reviewed. So we think they will consent to that, and they've done so in other towns. So I think the same model should apply here.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hopefully, the media center will make this discussion available to the other committees that are going to go through this.
Thank you.
I did have the chance to go to Natick and drive through and was impressed with, and I did ask Emily the question, what about the school systems in Wayland? And if they had any problems, what afterwards, and what was the feedback?
Well, I spoke to the superintendent, so I've also been to Natick High School and their new Kennedy Middle School, where there are canopies, and, I thought it was great. I spoke to the superintendent in Natick, and she was very positive about the canopies in Natick, for the financial reasons that we're discussing. And she also said that, it had posed no problems, no loss of parking spaces, no kids having accidents in the parking lot because they're running into the foundations, or any of those concerns that I've heard from some people. So she really thought it was a win-win.
Well, thank you for all the questions. I can't say I understood them all, but glad somebody does. We'll come back to this later. We're going to have it as an action item. But if we could move on to our next item, the acceptable use policy, the first reading. Also want to thank Lemma for all the work you put in.
It's all great work, yes.
Doing all this research for us.
Thank
It's
you.
been, 75 pages that we had to read.
Lemma's been working hard on this.
Lemma is working for months on this, and so thank
the
you for
effort
that.
you've made.
I think you sense that she has gotten very deep into the
I've
details and is very well versed.
Learned so much more than I ever knew about
Yeah.
electricity and solar panels.
Very helpful.
Yeah.
Great.
Wait till you see the traffic study coming.
Yes. That's next.
All right. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
For some reason, it is not
think
mirroring
you're
my screen.
still in
What?
kind of full screen, or
It is? I don't think, it doesn't look that way on my, let's see.
Huh.
No? Move to, wait a second. Let's see what this does.
There we
Here we
go.
go. Okay, now I can't see it on my own screen, so
Oh.
that's a challenge. Well, Steve, take it away,
Sure,
okay?
okay. And I'll come around and help
All right,
if needed. I know we're a little bit over time, so I'll try to be quick. I just want to say a few things about the revision to the acceptable use policy. It was last revised in 2012. Since then, we've had quite a few real-life situations that have come up that have not been adequately addressed by the, I'll call it AUP. This is in addition to the fact that the way we use social media has changed. We've implemented new procedures around privacy and security. And then we've just integrated technology into virtually every aspect of our learning and work here in the schools. And the AUP that we currently have just, it's antiquated and in my opinion, does not accurately reflect the current technology environment. It also suffers from poor formatting, lack of context, and is currently spread across 3 files. So we've made an effort to consolidate into one, what I would call a coherent document. So the things that this new draft, things I would highlight about it are that it's more readable and provides better context. It references our student data privacy initiative that we implemented a few years ago. It has links to our social media and email guidelines. It is very similar to the MASC policy, the kind of the model policy, so I want to make it clear that it incorporates the tenets of that policy, but again, in my opinion, in a way that's a little more readable to the everyday person. And those are really just kind of the main points I want to make. I think it's time that we took this look at it. I did this work in consultation with our district lawyer. Looked at several other policies that other districts have in place, and hopefully you agree and are willing to take the next steps to approve it. So.
Thanks, Steve.
Questions?
Looks good.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Nice
So
work.
this is our first reading. We do
Yep.
go back to this at our next meeting. Is that for
Mhm.
second reading?
Yes.
So we don't have to act on anything tonight?
Do we
but-
need to waive the actual reading?
We haven't done that.
Okay.
So I think this constitutes it that we are
Okay.
speaking about it. So this is first read, so we'll come back to it at the next meeting? Yes? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Steve.
You're welcome.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Next is the anti-bullying policy, first reading.
Yeah, so in your packet, you have a copy of the current policy and then our proposed revision. The proposed revision is the MASC model policy, and it's one small phrase that for some reason was not included the last time that the school committee approved the policy. And so we're just suggesting that we add that one phrase to bring it in line with the model that references adults.
Any questions on this first reading? Okay, I think we just move on. We'll deal with this again
Great.
at our next meeting.
And I should just mention, I had spoken to Amanda about pulling these two policies out of that policy review, just because we feel like these are two that are, you know, immediately relevant, and we want to kind of move that process along. Steve, I'm going to need some assistance here with technology, because I have to get to my slides, and I'm not sure what's happening.
The next issue will be district goals.
Okay.
2022-23.
Let's see. Oop. See, I can see it right there. I just can't get to it.
We did discuss this, Tony, a little bit down the summer.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry, I missed it.
Well, if we can't get my slides, then I will just forge ahead without them. That's okay. I'll forge ahead. All right.
I'm sorry.
No problem. All right. So I thought I would just give sort of a quick overview and introduction framing for the district goals. So as Charlie mentioned, of course, we talked about the WPS strategy for district improvement at the July meeting, and that was because I really wanted to make sure that directionally we talked to the school committee about where we were going with those priorities for this year before going back to our leadership retreat in August. So that was a very helpful discussion. And so just to remind people, we have kind of four big buckets that we think about when we think about district improvement. They are our strategic objectives. So those are meaningful learning experiences, coherent connected curriculum, healthy and supported school community, and infrastructure for the future. So those are the big buckets. And then each year within those four, oh, wait a second. Wait a minute.
They're coming to your rescue as we speak.
Wow.
It's amazing. I'm controlling that, and you can control your slides. There you go.
Oh. Okay, but that's, do you have my?
Now I'm on.
So now put those on.
Oh, okay. I have no idea what's happening, but I will just wait for the magic to unfold here. So for each of those four sort of major buckets for our objectives, then each year we identify 3 to 4 what we think are high leverage priorities that will move us towards that objective. And that's what we had looked at in July. A lot of the priorities for the 2022-23 school year are very similar to, if not the same, as what we articulated last year. And we talked in June when we did the goals report about the fact that last year did not unfold the way that we anticipated. And so there was a lot of work that ended up being sort of pretty ambitious, and then we were dealing with other issues. And so we've kind of brought those things back. When you look at the priorities, I would note that they're really focused on the instructional core. They are interrelated and they're complementary, so many of the priorities are related to each other, and they reflect what we think is both the need to be visionary and future thinking, and also sort of deal with the immediate issues that are in front of us. So after we identified the priorities, then the next step that we worked on as a district leadership team is to operationalize them and to really articulate what are the action steps for this year that will move us there. I think this is probably apparent from what you read, but I just want to point out that I think that if you look at the different priorities, you'll see that they're serving kind of different functions and purposes. So, for example, we have a curriculum review cycle. All of our curricular areas come out for review on, a predictable cycle. And so if you look at the priorities for this year, one of the priorities is to map curriculum and provide professional development to support the alignment of social studies curriculum to state and national learning standards. That's because, as you'll recall, in May 2022, Allison presented the report from the Social Studies Curriculum Review to the committee. So that report is done. The strategic priority for this year reflects implementing those recommendations from the curriculum review. So the action steps that you see, really talk very specifically about that. Revising the high school course sequence, mapping social studies curriculum for pre-K to 5, et cetera. And then in the curriculum priorities, you'll see sort of what's changed, reflecting that curriculum review calendar. So the next priority has to do with launching the math curriculum review. So that process has happened. The math curriculum review is in process. That's where we're at with that. And by spring, it'll be time to launch the next one, which is computer science, digital literacy, computer science, and library. So that's what's happening with that. Some of the priorities that you see there are about addressing our current needs. So when we think about these priorities, we look at assessment data, we look at survey data, we get feedback from teachers about what they see as student needs, we get feedback from parents. And so, for example, one of the priorities is provide resources, programming, and structures to restore and support the well-being of students and staff as a community. And that, I think, really speaks to the current moment that we're in, right? And looking specifically at what we need to do to support kids who are in front of us now. So you'll see action steps that have to do with resetting community norms and expectations around communication, reestablishing a wellness committee with an initial focus on developing guides and processes to help connect community members with appropriate resources. We've gotten feedback that that's something people need. Working with the PTOs and other community groups to revitalize opportunities for student social engagement, things like dances and field trips. You know, that's, that action step and that priority reflects feedback that we got in school committee office hours, right? So we're incorporating that into the plan for this year. There are other things that are designed to continue to improve or innovate. So, you know, we have a constant cycle of reflection and growth about how to move towards our vision for our graduates and for the school community. So you see things in there. I think, you know, developing a student leadership training model to support new students' transition to the high school is a good example of that. We're going to continue to expand the Unified Champions school programming. That's a good example of that. A lot of the work we've been doing to develop processes and resources to hire, recruit, and retain a talented and diverse workforce, that's going to continue. Then we have things that are moving forward, our multi-year long-range work, the building project, and all of the next steps there, continuing to work on our security infrastructure. And then finally, I kind of wanted to shine a light on this as well, that, you know, I think we're very committed to continuous improvement in the Westwood Public Schools, and so we look at a lot of data and we do a lot of self-reflection and think about those things. But we don't just kind of want to sit here and think ourselves. We also have outside agencies, and we look for feedback from outside agencies that that have a vantage point that includes other districts other than Westwood. And so to that end, we're going to be beginning the NEASC reaccreditation process for Westwood High School. That's the New England Association of Schools and Colleges. We'll be doing a civil rights and special ed audit with, through the Department of Education. As you know, we are in the process of completing an equity audit that we contracted to do. And so, you know, we have a lot of other sort of outside eyes that give us feedback that helps to shape the work that we're doing as well. So that's kind of the 20,000-foot view, and happy to.
Any questions at this stage?
Well, a small question. I know I missed last week. The elementary specials. We don't have to go in depth, but it was just I thought that was an interesting one.
Yeah.
But I'd love to at some point hear more about that. But we don't. You don't need to do now. But I'd love to hear more about that one. That was an interesting.
Definitely talk about that. It's kind of a fun one.
Yeah, I was gonna say that seemed interesting. Yeah.
Partly because of the hour and the dogs that need to be walked. Emily has said that any of us are free to call her up and to go through some of the deeper, as we go through it. So feel free to ask for refinement or suggestions, okay? So we will discuss this in a few minutes too, in the action items.
And all of this is posted, will be posted on our website. We put our strategy for district improvement right on the homepage.
Great.
So, under action items, okay, moving on. The vote regarding the proposed solar project. So, I think our options are tonight, A, to vote to approve it, to move it on to planning board, the select board, all the rest. And I just want to also be sure, if we do not approve it today, will it cause a problem for us to learn more and take it up as an action item at the next meeting? Is that creating a problem for the process? if people do not want to vote on it tonight.
I can let Amerisco comment too. Thank you, Tony. I think there's a preference for a vote today because that would certainly allow design to proceed and some of the next steps to go forward. But the project won't be derailed if you decide to table it until October.
So I'd like the school committee to consider, I think, with tonight's discussion, and we all have had a lot of questions going on since the last meeting, I think we've learned an awful lot, and I thank the people who understand all this for the questions. But would I hear a motion to approve it tonight so it moves on through the structure that it has to follow all the way to the school board? Would anybody like to make that motion?
Well, so I just want to say I'm a little torn because I thought tonight's presentation was excellent. I think it answered so many questions that we had from June. I think this is a great project personally. I think that, having said that, I know that WEAC is planning a lot of community outreach. And I just wonder if we should be listening to that outreach and potentially hearing the community feedback on this. Or if, I don't know, that's my only hesitation with voting, with sort of voting tonight, is that, there is this community outreach planned. Do we want the benefit of that, or?
I kind of had the same thought, but then I also thought that since the plan needs to go in front of the planning board and the select board, if there's something really unexpected with the community feedback, we still have those opportunities. I don't know what anybody else thinks about that.
Well, I think, also, I think we have, a lot of us have heard from a lot of people. This is just the questions we've had. We've heard from a lot of people on what questions they might have. So I think we've done a pretty good job of unraveling the issues that are going to be out there. It's not like we were a month ago. So I think we've spent a lot of time. So my only concern would be is if this slows down the process of getting it onto the other town committees, I don't want to hurt that process or.
I understood that it's not impacting the schedule. I think it's not, we're not a hurdle to this moving forward in the regular schedules. Our approval isn't a gatekeeper, is that right?
No, I think the sooner the better is what I've heard from Amoresco, but I think that they've committed to continuing to work on some design as much as they can in the next coming months, and they're trying to get it to proceed at the fastest schedule possible so that they can target that summer 23 date. I can have them comment on that because it's a question of is there any hesitation on spending? They're expending time. They have a big project team that's assigned to this project already. That's it. So I think they just want to be reassured that the school committee supports it.
And what is the actual vote? I guess that's what I'm trying to, what would be the motion, I guess?
Well, number one would be a vote just to approve it to go on to the town committee meetings.
Okay.
The second thing is, I think they would like to hear, my guess is, that we're generally very supportive of it, but we just want the rest of the town to offer their opinions before we give our opinion. But if the committee looks like it doesn't want to approve it next meeting, I don't think they want to continue wasting their time on this. So I think the point is, we did ask this at the last meeting, do we generally, as a committee, act supportive? If not something else comes before us that throws it off, we would be willing to probably support it the next meeting. But we're supportive in general, but we don't want to vote tonight until we hear from the rest of the town. So that's, I don't think they want to go on if it looks like we're going to kill it in a month.
Right.
The PPA agreement is between the select board
Yeah.
and Amoresco. And so I think really what the motion would be was for the school committee to sort of officially signal their support to the select board.
Not as a final vote, but we're supportive for making a decision at our next meeting. And we don't really want to screw things up in timing, but is that a fair, would that not hurt things if we just said, in general, we're supportive, we just want to hear more from more people? Now, don't forget, the only reason we're asking for more people is we said we want to hear from more people. We're the ones that said, you got to go out and do
I'm the
all
one
the
who's
survey
you
work.
got to go out and do all this community outreach.
Yeah, we're the ones that
sort
have
of,
slowed it down. If we hadn't have said that, we
I
would
don't
now
think we
be.
slowed it.
I think one of the challenges is
you need to go do that.
It was also summertime, so it was very hard to engage the community in the summer.
Clarification here, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here's what I would caution, is you folks approving to move forward and lease the property. There are so many other committees that are going to have approval rights that can shoot it down if the community doesn't like it. The longer this takes and gets pushed out, we'll miss 2023, which is potentially a year of savings for you folks, which is not show money. More importantly, until that PPA is signed, if we have price movement on supply, as a supply chain, the PPA rate will go up.
So when are you going in front of the
That's a
select
good
board?
point.
I think Tom's going next week, it's Monday. Yeah, it's on Monday. But
For,
there's so
for
much more-
discussion, I think, right, yeah.
So much more to do just on the whole planning board, all the different
Right.
permitting, that there are plenty of places for the town to say, hey, you know what, for the community, this thing's dead, right? But we aren't gonna spend, there's a point where it's like, all right, we're not gonna keep spending to take this to
Understood.
completion. And I really wanna see it up in 2023. And if we delay this, that's gone. And if it gets pushed to 2024, the rates could change if costs go up.
I guess I'm just a little confused on our role, to be honest with you. I mean, it sounds to me like if we don't vote today, we are delaying the project. Is that correct?
That's right.
I think the select board wants to hear our opinion. That they want to know what our thoughts are. I believe that's what they're looking for.
So the community engagement is for the benefit of the planning board and the select board and not for us?
Because
that
we
right?
asked for it to happen.
I think Amanda makes a valid point that
Yeah.
I hadn't really been thinking about, that, I mean, there's public comment at the select board meeting, there's
Yep.
public comment at the planning board meeting as well, and, you know, our job was to analyze it from the school department's perspective, and we see the financial benefit in addition to the environmental benefit.
Right.
And, you know, we've answered the questions, I think, to our satisfaction about the impact on the parking lot and, you know, whatnot. So Lemma and I have talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
We feel
Yeah, I agree. I mean, what the school committee is agreeing to is permitting this construction on school property, on school grounds, and it's specifically relevant for the canopies and for Thurston, for the additional
Right.
roof piece.
And that's the only piece we would
and-
vote on, right? We're not gonna vote on.
But I would say you're agreeing to that based on the design that was shown to you today and based on the financials that have been presented to you in the attachments. And that's how I understand this. So that's the implied agreement. And you could support that and relay that conviction, you know, that you're authorizing the select board